What you need to know about the largest geographical object on Earth, the Pacific Ocean. First, why the Pacific? It was Fernand Magellan who called him the Pacific One.
That's right, I called it that. My crew and I were the first Europeans to cross it. We were lucky, the weather was calm, and during the entire voyage from the strait that is now named after me to the Philippine Islands, we were not caught by any storms. That is why I called this ocean the Pacific.
In fact, this ocean is very turbulent, but it is also the largest, deepest, warmest, and oldest of all. In this issue, we've collected all the most important things you need to know about the Pacific Ocean, so let's move on without wasting time. It should be noted that the name Pacific is not always true. In some parts of the ocean, for example, in the western part, where the South China Sea, Philippine Sea, and Sea of Japan meet, tropical cyclones, also known as typhoons, often occur. However, in general, compared to other oceans, the Pacific Ocean really has a calmer character. The Pacific Ocean is also restless because it is surrounded by a large ring of fire, a place of concentration of volcanoes and earthquakes. Look at the tectonic map. At the boundary of the collision of the lithospheric plates, there is constant shaking, earthquakes, and because of them, tsunamis. 90% of all earthquakes in the world occur here. It is also home to 75% of the world's volcanoes. The Pacific Ocean is based on the Pacific tectonic plate. Look how huge it is. And it is also the oldest compared to the tectonic structures of other oceans. The Pacific Ocean is a remnant of the ancient Panthalasan Ocean, which once washed the supercontinent Pangaea in the heyday of dinosaurs. Most of the relief is made up of an oceanic basin, 65% of its bottom. In the relief, we can also trace the so-called uplifts in the southern and eastern parts of the ocean, which are called the East Pacific Rise and Pacific Antarctic Ridge. They also run along the boundary of lithospheric plate divergence. Look at the globe. Compare the Pacific Ocean with the Atlantic Ocean. The Pacific Ocean covers almost a third of the planet's surface. The Pacific Ocean covers 165 million square kilometers. To comprehend this fact, imagine that the area of all the continents, Eurasia, North and South Americas, Africa, Australia, and Antarctica, is 150,072 million square kilometers. The Pacific Ocean is not just a vast mass of water, but a factory of life of colossal proportions, the significance of which we need to realize. In this vast area, phytoplankton, tiny plants that absorb sunlight and carbon dioxide and release oxygen through the process of photosynthesis, swim in the upper layers of water. These tiny plants produce more than half of the world's oxygen supply, helping to sustain life on the planet. The Pacific Ocean is the deepest. The average depth is 4,000 meters. The deepest point in the world is the Challenger Deep, located in the Mariana Trench. The depth below sea level is 10,994 meters. The deepest point of the world's oceans was conquered only in 1960 by two daredevils, Don Walsh and Jacques Picard. They made a dive on the Trieste bathyscaphe and became the first people in the world to descend to a depth of 3,000 meters and then 10,000 meters. In total, they spent about 3 hours at the depth, and they were quite cold. After all, in addition to the enormous pressure, the water temperature here is only 1 to 4 degrees C. Since the Pacific Ocean is the largest by area and deepest, with the largest average depths, it is logically the largest by volume. Unfortunately, the Pacific Ocean is also the dirtiest ocean. 20 years ago, the so-called Great Pacific Garbage Patch was discovered in it. 100 million tons of waste, mostly plastic. The size of the spot is almost the size of France. The coastline of the Pacific Ocean is not homogeneously divided, weakly in the east and strongly in the west. There are 25 seas within the Pacific Ocean. The seas are located along the western part of the ocean. The Bering Sea, the Sea of Okhotsk, the Sea of Japan, the South China Sea, the Philippine Sea, the largest sea in the Pacific Ocean. Next are the Banda Sea, the Coral Sea, and the Tasman Sea. In the eastern part there are no seas, only bays, the Gulf of Alaska and the Gulf of California, straits, the Bering Strait and the Drake Passage. The Drake Passage is perhaps the most stormy place on the planet, with waves often reaching 30 meters high. It is not easy to pass even for experienced sailors. The passage was named in honor of the famous British navigator Sir Francis Drake, who discovered it during his circumnavigation of the world in 1578.
Thank you for naming the passage after me, but I've never actually been through it. I did explore this area during my trip around the world, but I did not know that this strait connects the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. I chose the already known route through the Strait of Magellan. The Pacific Ocean was not quiet at all. After leaving the Strait of Magellan, a storm blew my ship far to the south, where I saw the southern edge of the continent and the vast sea beyond.
The famous British captain James Cook explored the Pacific Islands and made 3 of his landmark expeditions to the Pacific Ocean.
Yes, I explored and mapped Tahiti and other islands of the archipelago. I explored the coast of Australia. He discovered the Great Barrier Reef. I proved that New Zealand is 2 large islands, not 1. I discovered the Hawaiian Islands, which I called the Sandwich Islands.
There are rumors that the natives of Hawaii ate Cook.
But this is not certain, there is no evidence for it.
But it is known for certain that James Cook died in the Hawaiian Islands in a fight with local residents. The Pacific Ocean has the largest number of islands and island arcs among other oceans, with only about 10,000 islands, which is why the clusters of islands within the ocean are called Oceania, with subregions called Melanesia, Micronesia, and Polynesia standing out. The miracle of the Pacific Ocean, as well as the miracle of the Earth's nature in general, is the Great Barrier Reef, the largest coral reef on the planet. It is an extraordinary community of corals that stretches for almost 2,000 kilometers along the east coast of Australia. The reef was formed by coral polyps, billions of tiny living organisms that love warm, shallow waters. The main islands that you should definitely show on the map: the Hawaiian Islands, the Japanese archipelago, the Mariana Islands, the Philippine Islands, and the Greater Sunda Islands, which are Sumatra, Borneo, and Sulawesi and Java. 2 large islands of mainland origin are New Guinea and New Zealand. The Pacific Ocean is the warmest. Although some people mistakenly believe that the Indian Ocean is the warmest ocean, the Pacific Ocean is actually the warmest. Most of it is located in warm latitudes. It is crossed almost in the middle by the equator, and most of it lies within the northern to southern tropics, in the latitudes where it receives the most energy, so it warms up a lot. Its average water temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. This is the highest average water temperature of any ocean. Water temperatures in temperate latitudes range from 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. The Pacific Ocean also plays a leading role in the redistribution of heat on the planet, thanks to a huge number of currents. In fact, 2 closed circulation circles are formed in the Pacific Ocean, the northern and southern ones. In the northern part, the circle is formed by the warm North Passage, Kuroshio, North Pacific, and cold California currents. In the southern hemisphere, the circulation circle is formed by the warm South Passage current and the cold Peruvian current. Let's not forget about the equatorial countercurrent, which is directed eastward against the prevailing winds and against the movement of the main surface currents. So, today you have learned some basic information about the Pacific Ocean. It still holds amazing secrets. It is our duty to protect and preserve it, and each of us can contribute to its preservation by learning, exploring, sharing knowledge, and maintaining the balance of the natural environment. Subscribe to the channel if you want to know more about our wonderful planet. Thank you all for watching, especially those who watched the episode to the end. That's all for now. See you in the next issue.